Forward to the cloud. To the cloud.
Done.
Did you
Rachel.
report to the cloud?
Sure did.
Okay.
All right. It is Monday, noon Eastern time. Hope everybody's doing well after the Super Bowl disappointment for us New Englanders. And congrats to the people that are the Seahawk fans. And I'm going to jump right into it. My name is Greg Hanner. I'm the president of the New England region of RRC. And let me share my screen and we'll get this, what I'm going to refer to as a master class, moving along nicely. Oops, hang on one second. There we go. Here is our 2026 leadership team. And I've got to get everybody in a grid view so I can see who's here. I know I just saw Michelle pop in, our 2025 immediate past president. Christina, going to be carrying the torch next year. President-elect Fran Bixler, our RVP, is here in spirit. She did let me know about an hour ago that she was not going to be able to be attending. Alan is from New Hampshire, but today he's in Florida. And finance chair, Darlene Pratt, she's at the controls with the communication chair role this year. And I think did I see Courtney pop in? I don't know if I did, but Marie Presti is our education vice chair. Rachel will be speaking, membership chair. Caitlin, when's your marathon going to be? You're training hard.
Yeah, it's in April. Nice and chilly now, though.
April, boy. And then Andrew Romano, Joanne are both Massachusetts network directors. Down here in Connecticut, we've got Yolanda Lowe and Molly Bruno are Connecticut network directors. We've got Maine network directors, Brenda Whitney and Vicki Kennedy. There's Brenda and Ashley. Ashley's not on camera right now, but she is up in New Hampshire. There she is waving. And we've got our two ambassadors, of course, Paul and Francis, and really important role, Christine. You do everything of tech for New England region. So just wanted to, oops, I went back too far. We are in the final stages of getting our deck of strategic partners for 2026, and we're getting those finalized. We should have them out by the end of this week. But here, special thanks again to our 25 sponsors, Annie Mac Momentum Group, Coast to Coast Closings, Gaffney Law, Cross Country Mortgage, Leader Bank, MLS PIN, Clark Hill Inspections, Rocket Mortgage, Satira Law, G-Bar, and Skyburst. We're going to have a new list for you this week on the February newsletter when that comes out. Today's topic, everything ADUs. And I want to make an introduction before we jump into the presentation. I'm just going to say there is so much talent that, Rachel, I never knew. We literally are going to be learning from the best of the best here. Two co-owners of Roots ADU, today's presenter. Rachel has her BA from University of Vermont. She's got her master's from Babson College, licensed real estate broker owner at Hillman Homes. She is also a CRS designee with a number of other certifications and designations. Don Khoury. Don, originally you were a Canadian?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you don't have that accent. But Don is real estate investment grad from Harvard. MBA is from Bentley and BA from Wheaton. And I have a nephew who graduated from there recently. Extensive experience working with property management, aging in place, and multi-gen living. I'm going to get out of the way, stop sharing my screen, and turn it over to Rachel and Don. And let me just stop the share on my side, and you guys take it away.
Perfect. I'm going to jump in and get the slide going, and that way. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
We got it.
Okay, Don is going to do the first half of this presentation and then we'll go from there.
Great. Well, thanks everyone for having us. Look forward to this and any questions you might have. Rachel, you want to go to the next slide? So we're going to talk about an introduction to accessory dwelling
Phew.
units. Pardon me? Can you hear me?
No, she sneezed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Bless you, whoever that
I didn't
was.
know if somebody was saying I was muted or not. Thank you for having us, and we're going to talk about introduction to accessory dwelling units in Massachusetts, the benefits of an ADU, and the considerations and expectations you should have if you're contemplating ADU. And there are a number of ways ADUs can be considered. One is detached. Another one is attached. An interior upper level unit, an interior lower level unit above the garage, or a garage conversion. And in some cases, people have units that are not approved by the state and can often, or their town, and can often be go through the approval process now and make them legal. That's great. Awesome. Then next slide.
Oh, Rachel's frozen. There she is.
Oh, there we go. So why now? Well, we need to boost the housing supply. Massachusetts is in a real having a real issue with their housing with the housing crisis. And this offers an interesting way to deal with that. The ADUs do, it increases the housing affordability because it adds new rental options and more product and inventory on the market. The process is now simplified because last year Massachusetts, passed the law saying that cities and towns can no longer make it difficult. People can build these by right on their properties, and so it shortens the time frame, the complexity, and the need for special units, special permits, and that process. And it promotes sustainable growth. ADUs create density without requiring a large building in your neighborhood, and so they're almost like they're hidden in everybody's backyards, and so it doesn't necessarily affect the feel of that neighborhood. So that's one of the great things. And then if we want to talk a little bit about the benefits, again, we talked, it's affordable housing is so important right now, and ADUs provide that, But the biggest thing that I think is important in terms of what we're doing with ADUs in Massachusetts and anywhere else is this multi-generational living, where families can come together like people did, 50 years ago, and the grandparents and the parents can all live in that, and the children in one compound, even, let's say. And it's great for everybody. And, parents live longer. In terms of the grandparents live longer, parents have in-house care if they need it, and the children love having that access to their grandparents. And then there's also rental income. It's a potential for rental income for people renting out their ADUs. Now, in Massachusetts, the cities and towns can't block long-term rentals, but they can block short-term rentals. Like, so the Airbnbs and those type of things can be blocked by the cities and towns, but they cannot block the long-term rentals. And you don't have to be a resident of either unit, which is a great advantage as well. So investors, if they want to come in and buy up a couple of units, this is a great opportunity for them. And it increases property value. Adding an ADU can increase the overall value of a property for up to 30% in some cases. And so that's my part of it. Now Rachel's going to talk about the more important part of our presentation.
All right. So when we think about as realtors, right, how are we going to help our clients with ADUs? What are some examples of those types of clients? And these are also clients that come to me and looking for ADUs. Aging parents, as Don explained, and we know as realtors, one level living is so hard to find anywhere. And even if you look at a ranch style home, there's a staircase to get into that property. So really all of those clients that are looking for one level living, an ADU is a great solution for that. As mentioned earlier, rental income, whether you're an owner and you're looking to add an additional unit of space that can be rented. I actually have a client who just dealt with a divorce situation. She wanted to keep the home, but wanted to, but now you've lost half of the income to take care of it. And ADU is a great opportunity for additional income, but in a separate space. Parents looking to care for their children. How many of us are dealing with those first-time home buyers? There's a majority of those first-time home buyers looking at parents for help for the down payment. Well, now you have an opportunity to put in new construction, brand new space for a first-time home buyer. That's less than what the cost is, what we're seeing here in Massachusetts. What does it cost for that first property? It's really expensive. And as mentioned, before, extra space. Since COVID, we have a lot of people looking for home offices. They'd rather be in a separate space than the main house. We have one client looking for a golf simulator, places for long-term, visitors. This is a great opportunity now to create extra space in the current property for our clients, and then in the future have future return on investment. So you may or may not know what the rules are, but right now, as of right, when they talk about the rules for an ADU in general, you're looking at, if you look at the total square footage of a property, you can add an ADU 900 square feet or 50% of the total square feet, whichever is less. So if you have a 1,600 square foot house, your largest ADU would be 800 square feet. So it's
And
whichever
Rachel,
is less.
And
Go ahead,
Rachel,
Greg.
this is for both Massachusetts and New Hampshire, the two areas that your company covers?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, here's the caveat, and yes, and it would probably be similar for Connecticut as well, but this is specifically meant for our Massachusetts and New Hampshire people. The number one thing I want everyone to know is the most annoying part is nothing is consistent. The towns are trying to figure out what the new ADU rules are and what they should be. So as of right, all that means is if you go to a building department and says you want to have an ADU and you meet all of their requirements, they can't say no. Versus back in the day, you'd say, oh, I want to, add an addition to my house, and they had all these ways to say no. But every town is different. So they have different rules in place to make it easier or more complicated. So the most important thing is if you do have a client that's looking to add an ADU, you're going to want to go and look at the town rules, or you can come see me or Don. We're happy to help you out as well to know what you can and can't do, because right now it's a little bit of a mishmash. Same thing on the multifamily world. If you have a 2-family or 3-family and you want to add an extra unit, you can as of right. Once you get to 4 families, those are commercial. It's a different set of rules. So that, we leave those out of our discussion today. But again, and special permits are always an opportunity. As of right does not mean quicker. Necessarily. You still need to get a formal survey for your property. You still need architect plans. You still need to get permits and approvals from the town. You still need to construct it one way or the other, but it just creates the opportunity for additional living that we don't have right now. So it turns that no into a yes. So I wanted to talk about some considerations. I think of ADUs from the realtor world sort of like solar. We don't need to know every answer. We don't need to know everything, but to be smarter about what ADUs are all about so we can help our clients in thinking about, do they want them? Do they want to buy something with a future for one? What can or can't be done? These are some of the quick hit things that would be worthwhile to know for your clients. Again, knowing that it's evolving and changing over time. So again, as Don explained at the beginning, your ADU can be attached or detached. So, if it's attached, it's going to be maybe finishing a basement or the attic or putting some extension on the house, versus detached being a separate unit on the same plot of land. And then you also have stick built, which is the terminology of, do you hire a general contractor to actually build your ADU, or modular, which is what we're doing at Roots ADU, which is they are factory built and then they get delivered to the land. All of these different variations have different rules, and the town can put in place different rules, whether it's attached, detached, stick built, or modular. So you just want to be aware of those high level terms. As Don mentioned earlier, you don't need to live there to add an ADU, and you can rent it, most likely not short term, but you have the opportunity. So you're great for your investor clients. And this has been working well. I have investor clients that have a certain budget in mind. Right now, I just sold one in Worcester, a 3-family, but they're going to add an ADU in the future. So right now they're getting their rental income set up for the 3 units, and then they'll add an ADU in the future to make it a 4-family. So you can look like a real hero to your investors, because now there'll be an additional unit that they can add later on with that income. In terms of parking, again, sorry, it's the annoying, it depends. If you're closer to a train station and you're closer to the city, a lot of the towns are not requiring parking be added when you add an ADU to your property. And then the further you go out, they are required. So again, I'll just keep repeating myself. The most important thing is to go look at the municipality and see what the rules are for each of these little things. But it is something to think about. When people come up to me and say, what's the cost? That's what I'm saying. Well, what are we doing and what are we building? Because it's going to depend on all these factors. Next comes utilities, and this might not be intuitive, but we're finding most of the towns prefer your utilities come from the main house, meaning your main electrical is still the main house and you have a sub panel with electrical going to the ADU. Same thing for water sewer. If they're public, we're finding they prefer it to all go through the main house. This is, again, something to think about and check in your town. You might choose to see if you can separate it, if you're going to use it for rental income, because we know that those utilities can vary so much. But you are going to have to think about that short term and long term, about how the utility connections are dealt with, as well as if you are putting it to your main house, you'll have to think about the additional cost of upgrading those utilities. You might only have 100 amps in your main house. Well, now you might need to upgrade your electric in your main house to account for your ADU. So these are just, little tricks and tidbits. Setback, again, in the more rural towns, as we know, septic refers to number of bedrooms. In our minds, we think it would be bathrooms, but it's not. It's based on bedrooms. So if you have a 3-bedroom house with a 3-bedroom septic, if you want to add an ADU, you're going to need a larger septic, or check with the town if they'll allow a separate septic system for that ADU. And this is also, when we think about dormering a roof, good time to dormer your roof is when you need a new roof. Well, when you need a new septic, that's a good time to think about, will you ever want to add an ADU? Because at that time, when everything's dug up, that's when you want to put a bigger tank in. And I know that they have some new septic laws. I just dealt with this in New Hampshire. The minimum is $1,250 for the tank, which is a 4-bedroom. So you'll have opportunity to put a larger system in from the get-go. Couple more things, heights and setbacks. Interesting, when we think about structures as realtors, and this has been in my lingo, if someone says, oh, I want to add a garage, we always have in our mind the 15-foot setback. For an ADU, a lot of the towns we've been finding is 5 feet for that setback. So it's interesting, you'll have more space. And again, depending on if it's attached or detached, how the setback works, as well as the height. If you have a narrow property where you don't have a lot of space, you could go up to 2nd floor. So that's something to think about depending on where you're putting the ADU on your property. And last, I just wanted to throw in their sprinkler systems, because we're dealing with this with one of our ADU clients. The fire department still needs to get to this space. It is a living space. So it's going to be important for the fire department to be able to access it, God forbid there was a fire. So you'll find that all the towns will also have rules, just like we check for our smoke detectors and carbon monoxide. They have rules in place for the ADU as well. If you set that ADU behind the main house and they've got to get there, they might require you to put a sprinkler system in instead of just a smoke and carbon because of the concern of their ability to get from the main street to the ADU in the back. So a lot of times you might see them, or we're starting to see more where they're not side by side. They can be set back, but to the side so that there is 50 feet or whatever the requirement is of the town to get to that property, because it's very expensive to put a sprinkler system in. Just some common other areas, and then we'll go to questions because I've been talking at you for a while. But again, zoning, the zoning varies by each town. So you want to check what you can and can't do, but you can do something, and that's what the most important thing. As we talked about, cost of construction varies. We talked about, is it attached? Is it detached? Or is it stick built, modular? And we also haven't talked about what does the land look like. You don't want to just throw your ADU on dirt. You need to put utilities on there. And you don't want an ADU on blocks because you can get mold and you can have issues with it's a dwelling unit. So you need some kind of foundation, even if it's a 4-foot frost wall. But if you're putting it up on a spot where you're a sloping land, or if there's rock that we need to, blast through, that foundation is going to be a little more expensive. So unfortunately, the cost when at the end of this, when someone says how much does it cost, I'm going to be annoying, and Don and I are going to be annoying, and we're going to say it depends, because we're going to say, what are we building, how big, where, how, why, what. So that's something to think about, the demographics. And if you want, you'll see on our website the ability to use the AI software to put your address in and see what the demographics look like to get some ideas, but the cost will vary. Financing. A lot of people are concerned you just need to pile up cash or take away from, your retirement plan to pay for this, and that's not the case. You always have the equity loan option, and if you are using your main house, there's a lot of equity loans that will go up to 90% of the value of your main house. There's also, if you're concerned about your interest rate being varied, there are fixed rate second loans. So those do exist, and they do exist for investment properties as well, just at a higher interest rate. All of the lenders that you work with now, I'm not going to push anybody, we're all realtors here. You talk to them because there's new programs in place, and there's also some subsidies by certain towns where they're actually trying, because we are working on solving a housing crisis, there is some subsidies with different banks if you do put in an ADU. So when you get to that point, feel free to reach out. But, just Google the town and check on what kind of subsidy you can offer for your clients on their financing. And the last piece is a lot, like anybody, NIMBY, there's a lot of people that don't want these, or they're concerned about what it'll look like. We all know when they knock a house down across the street, the construction part is icky, but when it's there, it looks like it was always meant to be there. So the same thing with an ADU. If you're thoughtful about it and you match it in terms of style, you can integrate this in a way with the main house that'll look like it was always meant to be there, and make it really nice so that you're happy with it as well as your neighbors. Just for fun, I just wanted to show you what I'm building on one of my properties. This is a cute little, it's going to be about just under 800 square feet. It looks like a cute little cape. It's going to have a nice bow window in the living room. It's going to have a nice open space, front porch. It just gives you a sense of, when we think of ADUs, they can be like cute little cottages, or they also can be, if you end up doing something inside, you can make it feel like a really special place to take care of your clients or the people that you're trying to take care of. And I think that pretty much wraps up our information's here. Roots ADU is the website, which has our contact information as well. I'll blip out of this just in case there are questions that anybody wants to ask, and that's sort of where we're at.
Yeah, we'll jump into Q&A. Before we do that, I know that our audience, we have all of New England. And so I'll speak to Connecticut first. Connecticut, if you want information about ADUs, CT Realtors site is great. Rhode Island, I tried to find a short URL that I could share on the screen, but AARP's got a real good one. Obviously, Roots ADU, that's your go-to for New Hampshire and Mass. Vermont, I found some good information at accd.vermont.gov. And then last but not least, Maine ADUguide.org. And let's open it up to Q&A. Let me stop
That's
my
great,
share.
Greg. Thanks for grabbing those URLs. That's awesome.
Yeah. Maureen.
Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Good.
So you talked fast, so I may have missed it. So forgive me for asking.
Sorry,
if you
I know
already
I
said it.
talk fast.
It's
I'm sorry.
okay. I was not listening as quickly as you were talking. So financing, I think I heard you say you could do a home equity line, which of course is the first thing to try, right? Because that's probably going to be the cheapest interest rate. Let's say they don't have enough equity in their house. The next step you're saying is check with lenders. And is that like a Fannie Mae loan, or would they do some other special kind of thing? What you said, check, I heard you say check with, the lenders that we know, which of course I know several. But what am I asking them for? Am I asking them for a special ADU loan for the same house?
I would just ask them what kind of programs, because I know all of the lenders are working on different financing programs for ADUs. But the one that I mentioned that I learned about was a true second loan. So it's literally, instead of an equity line that changes. The good thing with an equity line, as you're paying for things, it goes up and down like a credit card, but the interest rate goes up and down based on the rates. A second loan would be a fixed interest rate, but you would want to know the amount. So if you pulled out 200,000, you're pulling out 200,000, and you can certainly pay it off, without a penalty, but you would still, have that second loan. So it's a true second loan. And then there are certain banks that are offering specific ADU loans. So you can talk with them, but those were the couple that I learned about recently.
Ashley's
Okay,
got a
do you
question.
know whether it would be financed over a typical 30-year, or would it be financed over 15? The one that you found,
The one I found it through rate, it was the same option. You could do a 30, 15, 10. So
you decide.
You had options,
Okay.
depended on how quickly you wanted to pay it back and what kind of payment. So they're offering sort of the same idea.
And
then,
was it a rate
yeah.
that was higher than the normal Fannie Mae rate for a new property, or was it a little higher because it's a second loan?
So it was slightly higher than the equity line was the least expensive, because the equity line I found was prime minus a half. They were like prime. I think it's based on the same thing. It was based on one of the indexes. It was prime plus something. It wasn't too bad. The one that I specifically am looking at, because it's being at one of my investment properties, so it was just a little bit higher because it was also an investor rate. So
Gotcha.
again, you can get an equity line on, let's say you own more than one property. If you wanted to put it up in your New Hampshire place, you could get an equity line at the lowest rate on your main house and then use it for an ADU at a different property. That would be the least expensive, but that there are options.
Yeah, gotcha. Thank you.
Ashley, you're next.
So I've heard multiple different things, and I'm in the car, so that's why I'm not on camera. So I thought the minimum square foot in New Hampshire was 900 square feet, and then the maximum square feet in Mass was 900. Did those change, or are those still the same?
I'd have to check for you. I know, again, there were different rules for stick-built versus modular in New Hampshire, so I'll look into that and get back to you.
Alan,
Thank
do
you.
you know Alan? Because I thought Alan knew already.
I think 900 square feet is max in New Hampshire.
I thought that was the minimum that it could be, was 900 square feet, because the max in Mass is 900 square feet.
We'll
That could
find
be
out.
good.
We'll find out and get back to you, and we'll post it on the Facebook. But that's not what I heard. But you know what? That's the annoying part. For a while, they weren't even allowing modular in New Hampshire. Then they changed the rules. Now they are. So it's so changing by the day. We'll find out for you and get back to everybody.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
it's interesting with this topic and the research that I did. It seems like between 22 and 25, all 6 of our New England states, that's our New England region, they've all adopted it. There's a couple towns in my area that have actually opted out of it. But to Don, with your background, the aging in place use is something that really comes to my mind because it could do 2 things. It could give a person income to be able to sustain their taxes and medical expenses. They might even put a caregiver in there, right?
Absolutely. You can put a caregiver, but you want to also be careful. The family wants to be careful, especially if you're closer to end of life, that the documentation about that they're living there, but they can also be exited if the family needs them to.
From a lease perspective, the
From a lease
occupant.
perspective, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And let me extend the thought to the municipal affordable housing goals. Do the ADUs, once they're established, is that helping the towns meet the states? In Connecticut, we have goals for affordable housing on a per town basis.
right. And more so actually in New Hampshire than Massachusetts, because New Hampshire cities and towns or the planners are motivated to hit certain workforce housing levels. And an
Yep.
ADU is considered part of that for the town planner. And so they're usually quite motivated to do that.
Okay. And one
Now,
last
just
question. I want to be conscious of time here.
can I just, Greg, just gonna say
Yep.
one last thing? Because going back to taking care of for the seniors and to Marie's point, another opportunity is a reverse mortgage as well. So if you are a senior caring for yourself, you could do reverse mortgage on your home, and that gives you the income to take from it because it basically you get a credit towards your house that you could use income from that to build the ADU that you could bring family in or caregivers in to care for you. But most important, you'd want to bring in, estate planners to make sure that, they're lining everything right so that after the fact, the kids that are still there can, change that back. So, but go ahead. Sorry, Greg.
Yeah, curious to know. I know again, you can't hit pricing because of so many different variables, but overall, if you're putting someone in there on a lease basis, generally the leases reflect the cost, the income from the lease reflects the, market conditions. Do you have any case studies on cap rates? What could someone yield out of it if they decide they want to put an ADU in?
So in our region, appraisers are still trying to figure that out because there aren't enough comps. However, California has been at it for about 10 years, and they look to more, not necessarily a cap rate, but sorry, it is the cap rate. It's the value of the potential rents. And so even if you have a family member or someone living there and you're not, capturing the rent, the potential rent in that area is what's going to be put in terms of the cap rate and the value.
All right. Well, I want to be conscious of everybody's time, and I'm going to just roll over to our upcoming events. We've got March 12th, right in Burlington, Mass. Limited seating is available for this event. It is a free event for RRC members in Burlington, Mass, March 12th. March 19th, we are going to be at Celebration in Dallas, Texas. We will have a networking event right before the opening. What do you call it? Not conference, but the
Welcome reception.
welcome reception. Thank you for bailing me out. But we'll have the spot. It'll be at the hotel, and then we've got another networking event coming in April. The leadership team is working on a tremendous amount of classes coming up. We've got the blood drive that is going through the end of this year. Sleeves Up campaign, simple. You just pledge through this campaign and then give locally. You don't have to travel anywhere. And I want to thank all of you. Did anyone have a burning question, or can we wrap up? Thumbs up. Yep. I want to thank everybody for joining us for our monthly Monday with the Masters. We look forward to seeing you at local events in person. And be sure to bookmark and join the Facebook New England region, the public page, and our Facebook group. But that's all we have for you for today. And we'll have more details on upcoming classes and events in our newsletter in your inbox later this week. That's all for now. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
You stop recording?
I did, yep.
Sweet. No.
It's
I
still
just
recording.
noticed on the screen you shared for strategic partnerships, it says
Wait, it's still
2025.
recording. Sorry.
Correct.
Still recording.
Oh, Rachel didn't stop it from the
Yeah, but you
cloud.
can stop it.
No, in MER